Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid, December 10, 1976, Encino, California. Dear Mr. Mayor, my name is Carrie, and I hope you'll forgive the suddenness of this letter. I'm writing because I need to ask something difficult, something I never imagined I'd have to say to a stranger. While going through my husband Ken's briefcase last week, I found letters that appear to be from your wife, Janet. The dates and details line up with a medical conference he attended in Coronado a few months back. The content leaves little room for doubt. They've been involved intimately. I'm so sorry, David. I don't know you and I don't know what your marriage is like, but if this news hurts you, I hate that I'm the one delivering it. And if you'd rather not know, I apologize for that too. Believe me, I've wrestled with whether to reach out at all. But here's what I'm asking. If you happen to find any letters from my husband, Dr. Kenneth Alsop of Encino, or his practice at the Dermatology Center of Law, I'd be grateful if you'd send me copies. I'm trying to understand why he'd do this, and those letters might hold answers. I didn't enclose Janet's letters, it felt cruel, but if you want to see them, I'll send them without hesitation. I know I've dropped into your life like a storm, offering nothing but pain. Still, my heart aches for you, even as a stranger. Sincerely, Carrie, January 20, 1977, Encino, California. David, I owe you an apology. My last letter was written in a haze of anger and hurt, and since I never heard back, I worry I overstepped. I never meant to disrupt your life. Please forgive the intrusion. Regards, Carrie, February 2, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Carrie, don't apologize. Your letter stunned me. I didn't respond because I convinced myself you had to be wrong. I tore our house apart looking for proof. Janet's nightstand, her car, even the holiday decorations, nothing. I told myself there had to be another Janet Mayer in San Diego. Then last week the truth found me. We were all in the family room, me, Janet, our 4 boys, when the phone rang. She slipped away to take the call in the bedroom. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I heard her whispering, "That's..." New detail, the TV was playing the Rockford Files, loud enough that the kids didn't notice her leave, but not loud enough to drown out the way her voice softened on that call. Tone shift, sarcasm creeps in. Funny, isn't it? All that searching and the answer came through a bad detective show and a hushed conversation. Life's got a way of humiliating you when you least expect it. David, the words hit me like a punch to the gut. Janet's voice, clear as day, saying, "I'll see you soon, Ken." I forced myself to walk back into the living room, schooling my expression into something neutral. When she reappeared, I asked, "Who was that?" as casually as I could. "Just Trisha Mason from down the street," she answered, but I already knew the truth. The weirdest part, my instincts told me to play dumb. I didn't yell, didn't accuse, just tucked the knowledge away like a secret. Why? Maybe because admitting it out loud would make it real. Funny how life works. When your letter arrived, I spent days convincing myself you were paranoid. The idea of Janet cheating was too much to handle. But here I am writing back because denial only lasts so long. You're not delusional. You're the only one telling me the truth right now. I don't have any letters from your husband, but if I find any, I'll send them your way. In return, could you share the ones from my wife? Like you, I need to know what's really happening in my own home. I'm sorry you're going through this too. We might be strangers, but right now you're the only person who gets it. David Mayer, February 9, 1977, Encino, California. Dear David, I wish I'd been wrong. Part of me hoped there was some wild explanation, like Ken was secretly writing a movie script and needed the letters for research. Ridiculous, right? The man couldn't improvise a grocery list, let alone a screenplay. My mother warned me when we got married, "You're signing up for a lifetime of predictable." And honestly, that's what I loved about him. Ken was safe, reliable, the kind of guy who wears the same brand of loafers for a decade and thinks The Sound of Silence is peak musical innovation. But here's the kicker, he's still that same predictable Ken, still eats turkey on rye every lunch, still winces if I play anything recorded after 1972. The only difference, now I know he's also capable of lying to my face. I've found 6 letters from your wife tucked in his briefcase. Every morning while he showers, I check that hidden pocket. It's become a twisted routine. And as much as it hurts, part of me is relieved when I find another one, because at least I'm not imagining things, enclosed or copies. Let's hope the truth doesn't wreck us both. Mart, I can't help craving more details, even though I know they'll only leave me feeling worse afterward. It's like I'm addicted to my own misery. David, if you ever need to talk after reading these, I'm here. I wish I'd had that kind of support when I first went through them. You're the only one I've ever trusted with any of this. Everyone else would just judge me. So I keep up appearances, pretending everything's fine while I run errands, get my hair done, or play cards with friends. You asked how I managed to hide it all. Honestly, it's easier than you'd think. When your whole world shifts, you learn to fake normalcy fast. At home, I distract myself by cooking elaborate meals for Ken, then burying my nose in a book. I suggest outings, movies, plays, double dates, anything to keep conversation light. Maybe if I ignore it long enough, it'll just vanish. Sounds like denial, doesn't it? Maybe it is for now, but our life works even with its flaws, and I have to believe Ken will snap out of this soon, that we'll find our way back. I want that for you too, David, more than anything. Carrie, September 6, 1976, Carlsbad, California. Ken, when you asked me to write to you as I left last week, I nearly laughed like we were some star-crossed lovers planning secret rendezvous. Not that I didn't enjoy our time together, you know I did, but I figured we'd leave it at that. Except now I can't stop thinking about you, about who I became in that room with you. Suddenly everything feels electric. 4 kids, a chaotic house, the endless grind of being a woman, it all used to drag me down. Now I feel alive, so thank you. I should feel guilty, and maybe I do a little, but mostly just gratitude. Janet, September 17, 1976, Carlsbad, California. Ken, you're impossible. I wrote to say thanks, not to invite a sequel. And those questions about David, absolutely not. But fine, since you're really asking, no, it's never been like that with him. What happened between us at the Dell, that was something else entirely, something I didn't even know existed. Just writing this, admitting it to you, sends a thrill through me. Janet, September 30, 1976, Carlsbad, California. Ken, I can't believe you called. How did you even get my number? And yet, standing there in the kitchen, hearing your voice, it set my whole body buzzing. There's something about you that lingers in my thoughts, refusing to fade. Even when you're nowhere near, I swear I can still feel your touch, electric, unforgettable, from that one night we shared. You unlocked something in me, something I didn't know existed, and now I crave it. So yes, I'll find my way back to the Hotel del Coronado, just name the night. So, Janet, November 20, 1976, Carlsbad, California. K, what are we doing? Neither of us can walk away from our marriages, and if we keep this up, we'll only wreck more lives. A fling was one thing, even if that fling turned into 4 times in a single night. But now it's spiraling. I can't keep lying about girls' trips or phantom doctor visits. We have to stop. We have to forget each other. Right, love. Janet, December 14, 1976, Carlsbad, California. K, you're my first and last thought every day. Yesterday my husband leaned in for a kiss and I flinched accidentally. It's not that I don't care for him, but my heart isn't his anymore. It's yours, Ken, you have all of me. I want more than stolen hours. Let's make it real. Mid-January my mother-in-law watches the kids so I can get away with friends. January 14, 17, if I tell my family I'm with them but come to you instead, can you make it work? So, Janet, P.S. Simon and Garfunkel played at the bank and suddenly I was picturing you dancing in that ridiculous bathrobe. I burst out laughing in line like a lunatic. My kids were mortified. You do make me a little crazy. January 18, 1977, Carlsbad, California. K, I'm in love with you. I should have said it yesterday when you did, but I was scared of what it would mean, of the wreckage we'd leave behind. But it's true. I love the way your aftershave lingers on my skin. I love how you look at me like you'd suffocate without me. I even love your weird burger habit, who orders cheese on the side. These past days were perfect. French toast in bed, the paper on the balcony, me in that ratty wrap dress you somehow made me feel stunning in. Leaving you was agony. At home I'm just a mom, a wife, a checklist. With you, I'm alive, everything's brighter. Possible every day feels like a never-ending checklist of obligations, none of them mine, none of them what I truly want. But now as I move through the motions, my mind drifts to you. With you I'm someone else, lighter, freer, those stolen moments between us. That's when I feel alive, unburdened, like myself again. You've shattered the armor I didn't even realize I wore, leaving me raw and renewed. I love you for that, and I needed you to know. So, Janet, February 15, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Dear Carrie, your letters arrived, and I get it. The hesitation in sending them mirrors my own dread in reading them. Part of me wishes I hadn't, but another part knows I had to. The thought of her with your husband. It ignites something in me, a rage so fierce I can barely breathe. Yesterday, Valentine's Day of all days, Janet slipped away to take a call in the bedroom. I played dumb, but before she even returned, I lost it. Punched a hole straight through the pantry door like some cliché in a bad movie. Me, the guy who gently traps spiders under a cup and carries them outside. Don't tell her that, not that you would. Who am I kidding? I'm not the calm, collected man I pretend to be, and she's not the woman I married. Maybe I'm a coward for not confronting her, but I'm terrified of the words we'll unleash, words that could unravel everything. The kids, God, what if she takes them and moves to law to be with him? But how much longer can I live like this, sharing a bed with a stranger? How do you do it, Carrie? How do you swallow the anger and just exist? I can't do this alone, I'm drowning. Yours, David, February 16, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Dear Carrie, ignore my last letter. I was spiraling. You've got your own mess to deal with, you don't need mine. I probably came off like some unhinged lunatic. Sorry for dumping that on you. Yours, David, February 22, 1977, Encino, California. Dear David, stop apologizing. Your letters are a lifeline for me too. This isn't just your burden, it's ours, and you're not weak. Hell, I haven't confronted Ken either. Part of me still hopes this will fizzle out on its own and will be glad we waited. But even if it doesn't, I've learned the hard way not to say a word until I'm sure of what I want. Right now, I'm not sure of anything. Carrie has this infuriating talent for turning every disagreement into his personal victory lap. His arguments are like quicksand. The more I struggle, the deeper I sink. Halfway through our fights, I forget why I was even upset. That's why no matter how this plays out, I won't say a word to him or anyone else until I've untangled my own thoughts. And let's be real, that's easier said than done. Our situations aren't the same. You've got your boys, I've got, well, years of negative pregnancy tests and a quiet house. Ken and I have been married nearly a decade, and the idea of life without him, terrifying. Who even am I without him? That's the real question, isn't it? So here I am, trapped in my own silence, because if I'm not ready to walk away, then nobody gets to know. Except you, David. You're the only one who gets it. And yeah, that's a pretty pathetic silver lining, knowing we're both drowning in the same mess, but I'll take it if you will. Here's how I survive. I obsess over the future. Not the past, not the present, just the what-ifs, like the baby we're still trying for. Every month starts with this stupid, stubborn hope, even though lately I feel like I'm faking the optimism for both of us. But I keep going because I still believe in that someday. Ken, a baby, a family, maybe focusing on that will help you too. Picture it, 5 years from now, your boy's older, Janet by your side at Michael's graduation. No empty seat where you should be. Cling to that. Carrie, February 26, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Dear Carrie, your letter hit harder than I expected. Last night, Janet slid a plate of brisket in front of me and I just stared. How does someone split themselves in two like that? And what else is she hiding? I must have zoned out because suddenly she's snapping her fingers in my face. David, salt, now. The kids were gaping at me like I'd sprouted horns, so I did what you said. I fast-forwarded. Michael in a cap and gown, the twins fidgeting in their seats, Janet squeezing my hand. For a second it almost felt real. But then my brain, ever the traitor, flips to the alternate ending. Some stranger in my chair, my boys calling him Dad. That's the future I can't let happen, even if it's just hope holding me together right now. David, for now, I'm choosing to focus on the possibilities ahead, whatever they may be, until I figure out my next move. Thank you for listening, even though we've only ever connected through words on paper. Strange, isn't it? You might be the person who understands me best. I'd love to hear more about you, your story, your world. Consider this an open invitation to share, just like you've done for me. Sincerely, David, March 4, 1977, Encino, California. David, ever get the sense that life somehow slipped through your fingers? Lately, I keep having this nagging feeling, like when you glance at the clock on a lazy Saturday and suddenly realize the afternoon's almost gone. How did I even get here? I was barely out of my teens when I met Ken, just starting my second year at Boston University, majoring in education, though honestly I picked it mostly because it seemed like the safe choice. We crossed paths at a grad students' party, him fresh out of med school, me still figuring things out. He won me over by inviting me to some art exhibit at the Gardner Museum. Funny thing, I'd already seen it but played along like it was new. Funny what sticks in your memory, isn't it? Ken had this certainty about him, this confidence I craved. Back then, I was still searching for who I was, and he seemed to have all the answers. We married young, 21, straight out of college. My parents weren't thrilled. Mom kept insisting women like me had options, that I owed it to myself to carve my own. But all I wanted was a stable life, a family. Not exactly the feminist manifesto she'd hoped for. Then came the moves, Chicago for Ken's residency, then LA for his fellowship. Now I'm a professional housewife, hosting dinners for his colleagues, playing tour guide for his mother, who just happened to buy a place 10 minutes away. She's convinced I'm too thin to get pregnant, which Ken blames on my stress levels. His medical opinion: stay home, relax, and let nature take its course. Never mind that I've started eyeing community college brochures when he's not looking. This wasn't the plan, none of it. Carrie, March 9, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Carrie, if it helps, I've spent most of my 30s wondering where my life went. I thought by now I'd at least have a solid savings account. Instead, let's just say my budget's held together by duct tape and optimism. Life as a high school biology teacher isn't exactly glamorous, especially when you're scraping by on a teacher's salary. To make ends meet, I've taken on coaching girls field hockey and basketball, two sports I know next to nothing about. Honestly, I'm just winging it. At this point, I might as well add driver's ed to the list, since, unlike field hockey, I actually know how to drive a car. The kids are supposed to call me Mr. Mayor, but I've caught them whispering Mr. Grayer behind my back. Yeah, I went full silver fox by 37. I always hoped I'd age like fine wine, but instead I got a dad bod, a back that cracks like a glow stick, and this permanent knot between my shoulders that refuses to loosen. Then there's Janet. Somewhere along the way, we stopped recognizing each other. The lies started small, like her pretending she cancelled the newspaper when I can see the stack growing under her nightstand. But now I'm realizing how much we both avoid the truth. She doesn't tell me about the affair, and I don't tell her how much I worry about money or how she lets our oldest kid off too easy. It's like we've built this fragile house of omissions, and one wrong move could bring it all down. Money's always tight, and it's become this unspoken shadow over everything. Janet keeps offering to get a job, but the way she says it, like it's my failure, like I've let her down, and maybe I have. I used to collect pennies I found on the street just because I liked the way they gleamed, but now I don't even do that in front of her. I don't want her thinking I'm desperate. Kids were supposed to be a blessing, but they've been another kind of test. Andy and Brian were planned, but the twins a total curveball. By then I was already stretched thin, counting every dollar. And somewhere in the chaos, the spark between Janet and me just dimmed. I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was the exhaustion, maybe it was the weight of all those unspoken things. But here we are treading water, pretending we're not drowning. Let me tell you, my two youngest boys light up my world in ways I never imagined. Michael, my oldest, has a stubborn streak a mile wide, and Sam could sweet-talk his way out of anything. But Andy and Brian, those two share this unbreakable connection and endless wonder about everything around them. My boys mean everything to me. But ever since the twins came along unexpectedly, intimacy with Janet fills me with dread. It's like I'm tempting fate, asking for even more responsibility. Somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing her the way I used to, and knowing another man does, that cuts deep. Just hearing how often they've been together in one night makes me feel smaller than a penny on the sidewalk. Doubt it stirs up. That's the real gut punch. Ever been there? David, March 14, 1977, Encino, California. David, insecure. Oh, you have no idea. Half the time I'm convinced my husband will walk out for your wife, leaving me with nothing, no kids, no career, just a big fat 30 and failed stamped on my forehead. All I've ever done was marry a doctor, and now I'm staring down the barrel of a life with no proof I ever mattered. Every month it's the same heartbreak. Ken and I try and nothing. The doctor shrugs, says it's probably my fault, why even bother testing him? So here I am, broken goods, while your wife pops out kids like it's nothing. Twins by accident, she's probably glowing, effortless, everything I'll never be. And my husband, he probably looks at her and sees a real woman. Pathetic, right? But there it is, my worst fears in ink. Carrie, March 18, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Carrie, first off, there's nothing pathetic about you. Your honesty, that takes courage. And after everything you've carried alone, I wish I could hand you some certainty. Maybe over lunch, there's a diner off the 5, neutral ground, no pressure. I could sneak out after my morning classes if you're free, just a thought. Of course, if this is a terrible idea, forget I mentioned it. David, March 23, 1977, Encino, California. David, actually, lunch sounds perfect. Carrie, new detail. The diner David suggests is Pete's Sunrise Cafe, known for its pie, a tiny spot where nobody would recognize them. Carrie hesitates before writing back, tracing the edge of the letter with her thumb, as if testing the weight of a decision. How about next Wednesday the 30th at 12:30 p.m. at the Victor Hugo Inn in Laguna Beach? I'll reserve a table under my name, but just in case, I'm 59, with long brown hair, brown eyes, and wire-rimmed glasses. If you're still unsure, just scan the room for the awkwardly tall woman with sharp elbows, sipping an Arnold Palmer like it's her last lifeline. Looking forward to it. Carrie, April 4, 1977, Encino, Car. David, thank you for lunch last week. The second you walked in, I knew it was you, not because of your description, but because of the way you hesitated at the doorway, like you were mentally rehearsing the conversation. And your hair, you called it gray, but it's more like storm cloud silver with these rich dark streaks that make you look distinguished. Honestly, I might be stared a little too long when you sat down. It was surreal. Here was this person I'd shared so much with, yet we'd never actually met. I was afraid that after seeing you in person, the letters might lose their magic, but instead it's the opposite. Now when I write, I can picture you laughing at my terrible jokes or nodding along when I ramble. So really, this is just a very elaborate way of saying, thank you for being exactly the friend I needed. All my best, Carrie, April 7, 1977, Carlsbad, Car. Carrie, the pleasure was mine. Lately, I've been trudging through life like a man in wet socks, but an afternoon with you debating baseball teams of all things lifted me right out of it. And then you listened to me talk about Janet without so much as a flinch. If anything, I'm the one who came out ahead. Before I ramble on, I should tell you I found 4 of your husband's letters. They were tucked inside Janet's cookbook, sandwiched between chocolate pudding and mousse like some kind of bittersweet dessert. Funny how life does that, hides the painful stuff right next to the sweet. Sunday night I played chef for the kids, charred steak, freezer fries, the whole bachelor dad special. When Andy begged for dessert, I stumbled across them while flipping pages. Ended up serving him sugared strawberries, fancy term macerated, felt like a gourmet for 5 whole minutes. I made copies at school, but before I send them I need to ask, are you sure you want to read them? Janet's letters wrecked me, and yours. Well, I just want you to be ready. Davidi need to give you fair warning, but ultimately the choice is yours. Take care, David, April 12, 1977, Encino, California. David, please rush those over as soon as you can. Warmest regards, Carrie. P.S. Nothing beats whipped cream and berries, whether they're soaked in sugar or not. Sounds like you whipped up something special for your boys. April 15, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Carrie, the copies are on their way. Funny thing, I think our spouses go way further back than we realized. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Yours, David, September 10, 1976, Los Angeles, California. Janet, let's not pretend this was just some fleeting moment. What we have is rare, the kind of connection people wait a lifetime for. Tell me you haven't replayed that night in your head, wondering what it would be like if I held you close. Because I've imagined it more times than I can count. 3 years ago, the second I spotted you across that dimly lit restaurant, I knew you were different. You had this energy, your laugh, the way your eyes lit up when you smiled. Then by sheer luck we collided near the restrooms. You lingered just a second too long when we shook hands, your fingers brushing my chest. I noticed the ring on your finger, but that didn't stop me from whispering, maybe in another life, before pressing my lips to your hand and walking away. But fate had other plans. Months later, there you were standing in my hotel lobby, that same laugh echoing through the room like a melody I couldn't ignore. Coincidence? Hardly. Some forces are too strong to resist. So tell me, does your husband set your skin on fire the way I do? Does he leave you breathless, your voice raw from crying out? Because I would. And I think you already know that. Right back, say you'll see me. Love, Ken, September 23, 1976, Los Angeles, California. My sweet Janet, you're the spark in my otherwise dull world. Say the word and I'll move heaven and earth to be near you again. Forever yours, Ken, October 4, 1976, Los Angeles, California. My sweet Janet, forgive me for calling unannounced. Hearing your voice unraveled me. I forgot myself, acting like some lovesick kid. But can you blame me? You have that effect. It's been ages since I've felt this way, and the intensity of it completely overwhelms me. My dearest Janet, knowing you share these emotions makes my heart soar. I've reserved a room at our favorite hotel for next Thursday, the 14th. Just imagining you in my arms again gives me the strength to get through these days. With all my love, Ken, November 12, 1976, Los Angeles, California. My beloved Janet, once a week with you isn't enough anymore. I crave your smile, the way your eyes light up when you laugh. I ache to feel your warmth beside me, to trace the curves of your body like they're the only map I'll ever need. When the longing becomes unbearable, I close my eyes and remember lifting you onto the bed, knowing we belong only to each other. This, what we have, is love in its purest form. I'll be there Thursday at 10, counting every second until I can pull you close. Forever yours, Ken, April 21, 1977, Encino, California. David, does the weather ever shift in that town of yours? Here it's the same endless sunshine, no rhythm to the year. Back in Boston, April meant rebirth, budding trees, crisp air, the promise of something new. December was always the hardest, watching everything wither away. But then April would return and suddenly the world felt alive again. Out here, nothing fades, so nothing truly returns. Maybe that's why happiness feels so fleeting. You can't miss what never leaves. But what if it leaves and never comes back? Here's where the sarcasm kicks in. Oh, listen to me, waxing poetic like some lovesick teenager, comparing my heart to the seasons, pathetic. Next, I'll be scribbling bad poetry in the margins of my diary. Anyway, thank you for the letters, and for the call. After reading them, I camped out by the record player, drowning in Carly Simon, then Daisy Jones, then Carole King, perfect soundtracks for a proper pity party. Then I spun blue, ever listened to Joni? Ken hates when I play her, claims she turns me into a sentimental mess. Jokes on him, I've blown right past sentimental and landed in full-blown despair. I have never loved before, if this is what love is. Those words won't leave me. They echo in my skull, a cruel reminder of how hollow my own marriage feels. He barely glances at me now. We didn't even pretend to discuss trying for a baby this month. Funny, isn't it, how loneliness can settle into your bones like winter with no spring in sight. New detail, last night I found an old photo of us from our honeymoon. Ken's arm was around me, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Maybe the signs were always there. It has been a month since Ken last touched me and I'm not even sure he's noticed. Sometimes I wonder if I've turned into a ghost in my own home, but honestly, David, I'm almost relieved. The thought of him really seeing me right now makes my skin crawl. There's too much I don't want him to know. Then your call came, shattering the silence like a firework. I was still slumped at the kitchen table, tears drying on my cheeks when the phone rang, and somehow before I even answered, I knew it was something good. Yes, I know how cheesy that sounds. But let me be cheesy one more time. Hearing your voice was instant relief. Thank you for telling me everything will be okay. Neither of us believes it yet, but damn, it's nice to pretend. You had me laughing through the mess, and that's no small thing. So really, David, thank you. There are nights I lie awake next to Ken, feeling like the last sad cupcake at a bakery, stale and forgotten. But lately, I picture you there with me. We're two wallflowers at the world's lamest party, and suddenly it's not so bad. April 26, 1977, Carlsbad, California. David, turns out I needed that call as much as you did. These chats have been the only bright spots in my week. You're like a human shot of espresso. And for the record, you're wrong. I am the girl no one asks to dance except you, apparently. Though getting groovy, really, stick to law, my friend. P.S. Carly Simon, flattery will get you everywhere. April 29, 1977 Encino, California David, lunch again. I'm in desperate need of decent company. May 4, 1977 Carlsbad, California Carrie, Monday the 9th, same diner. I'll be the one with the terrible dance moves. May 10, 1977 Encino, California David, yesterday was perfect. You actually listen, a rare skill, and flipping through those dusty records, best afternoon I've had in years. New detail, added the human shot of espresso line for warmth, shifted the dance metaphor to a bakery, and amped up the playful sarcasm in David's responses. I can't believe how refreshing our conversations have been. It's like finally breathing after being underwater too long. Ken. Oh, he barely talks to me about anything meaningful. It's always griping about Carter or asking what's for dinner. As long as I nod along and don't burn the salmon, he's content. But with you, it was different. I felt like I could say anything, like I didn't have to hold back. Honestly, I don't remember the last time I felt that free. And listening to you, pure joy. I haven't laughed that hard in ages, haven't been so eager to hear someone's thoughts. These days, real happiness is rare, so I'll hold on to every second of it with you. Best, Carrie, May 13, 1977 Carlsbad, California Carrie, you put it perfectly. Lately, joy's been scarce, so laughing with you meant everything. How about next Friday, same spot? Yours, David, May 20, 1977 Carlsbad, California Carrie, I couldn't stop thinking about you after lunch. You're the smartest, most fascinating woman I've ever met. The way you handled that snippy hotel clerk, absolute grace. Most people would have snapped, but you stayed patient, even kind. How do you do it? How do you keep that warmth when the world's so cold? Sometimes I feel like I'm turning into stone, but you melt me every time. I'm trying to be more like you, Carrie Ann, you're something else. Always yours, David, May 25, 1977 Encino, California David, your words, they see me the way I want to be seen. That's priceless. When can we meet again? Wednesday the 1st. Letters aren't enough anymore. All my best, Carrie, June 2, 1977 Encino, California David, last night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying what you said about Janet, how you regret not appreciating her enough. And I need you to hear this, you don't deserve what's happening. I know you doubt it sometimes, I hear it in your voice when you call things complicated. But listen, all marriages are messy. Compromise, heartbreak, it's part of the deal. But you're a good man, I've watched you. You're brilliant, you're devoted, you're the kind of father most kids dream of, and your heart, it's softer than you think. You deserve someone who's crazy about you, David. Because you're worth it, you're the kind of man who finds light even on the darkest days, chivalrous, respectful, the kind of man who's nearly impossible to find these days. You're extraordinary, David, and you deserve so much better than this. With all my heart, Carrie, June 6, 1977 Carlsbad, California Carrie, neither do you. No matter what hurdles life throws at you, no matter what doesn't come easy, you are complete just as you are. I hope you see that. You're everything a man could ever hope for in a woman. Always yours, David, June 10, 1977 Encino, California David, for years I've carried this weight, like I've let everyone down. My parents for the paths I've chosen. My husband for what I can't give him. And now, worst of all, myself for how I'm navigating this mess. When I was 16, our neighbor Mr. Weddington had an affair, and I remember being furious when his wife forgave him. I swore I'd never be that woman, yet here I am doing the very thing I once judged. It's enough to make me sick. But then there's you, a man of honor, just as lost as I am, just as tangled in this mess, yet you don't condemn me, you don't wish I was someone else. And for the first time, I wonder if maybe I shouldn't be so hard on myself. Thank you for helping me stand a little taller when everything else wants to drag me down. All my love, Carrie, June 15, 1977 Carlsbad, California Carrie. If I've helped you see even a fraction of your own strength, then I've barely scratched the surface of what you've done for me. You're the reason I'm still standing. I can't count how many times a day your name almost slips out, some random moment, like when a coworker mentioned peanut butter, and I nearly blurted out how you've ruined me for anything but cream cheese on toast. You've reshaped my world in ways I never expected. These days, you're the other half of my heartbeat, Carrie Ann, and I'm grateful for every second of it. Always yours, David, June 18, 1977 Encino, California David, the other night you asked how long I'd let this go on. I told you I was still waiting to see if Ken would come back, but what I didn't say, what I should have, is that the waiting doesn't feel so heavy anymore, not with you beside me. Still, I'm starting to think there's nothing left to wait for. Ken stopped hiding Janet's letters in his briefcase, but I found one tucked in his glove box when I was updating his insurance. I've enclosed a copy. Sometimes, in the middle of all the chaos, you made me forget why we were even tangled up in this mess, but you also reminded me what happiness feels like. Thank you for that. Love, Carrie, July 12, 1977 Carlsbad, California Carrie. If anyone should be saying thanks, it's me. You showed me that even if my marriage falls apart, the world isn't over. There's still magic out there, little surprises waiting around every corner. And if everything goes up in flames, at least I'll have you. Love, David, July 19, 1977, Encino, California. David, you're the last thing I expected at this point in my life. When I first wrote to you, I had no idea I'd find someone who just gets me. This whole thing is messy and unpredictable, but I wouldn't take back a single moment. How's everything on your end? And I have to ask, since you've been home, has Ken left any more letters lying around? Heard anything from Janet? Ken's been acting strange lately, coming straight home after work, bringing me flowers. Tonight he's taking me to Chateau Marmont, that swanky Hollywood spot where all the celebrities hang out. I don't know what to make of it. Love, Carrie, July 25, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Carrie, no letters, no secret phone calls. Janet has stopped disappearing after dinner, which is new. No clue what's going on. How are you holding up? Hope that cold's better. I'm imagining you curled up with a bowl of matzo ball soup, extra noodles, just the way you like it. Love, David, July 29, 1977, Encino, California. David, I miss you. I hope that's okay to say. Half the time, I wish you were right here with me. Yesterday, Ken dropped the news that he's heading to Palm Springs for a work consult, August 8-13. Pretty sure it's a lie, but with no letters from Janet, who knows? Has she mentioned anything to you? Any sudden trips planned? If they are sneaking off together again, should we meet? Love, Carrie, August 3, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Carrie, not a word from Janet. Check the usual hiding spots, cookbooks, glove box, the back of the closet. If she does take off, I'll call you. We'll figure it out. Love, David, August 6, 1977, Encino, California. David, Ken leaves Monday, still nothing from Janet. Last night he actually cooked dinner, steaks on the grill, salad with homemade dressing, supposedly from a nurse at work. Candles, wine, the whole thing. I didn't trust it, but damn if it wasn't nice to have him look at me like that again. Been so long, I almost forgot what it felt like. Then he started reminiscing about when we met, said he told his dad after our first date that he'd marry me. His dad's advice, pick someone you can love for 50 years. And here's the kicker, he didn't even burn the stakes. Ken turned to me with this look like he was handing me some grand revelation and said, "That's exactly who you are." I hesitated, then asked, "Are you positive you won't change your mind someday?" He didn't even blink. "No one will ever mean to me what you do, ever." Part of me wanted to roll my eyes, classic Ken making promises he might not keep. But another part wondered, what if he's serious this time? Still, I had to test it. "Do you really have to go to Palm Springs on Monday?" I pressed. He swore it was unavoidable, so naturally my brain jumped to Janet. She had to be meeting him there, right? Love, Carrie, August 9, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Carrie, it's Tuesday now, and guess what? Janet's still here. No bags packed, no sudden trips, nothing. If Ken's already left, he sure isn't with her. Do you think they're done for good? None of this makes sense to me. Love, David, August 15, 1977, Encino, California. David, Monday morning, just as Ken was about to leave for Palm Springs, he paused at the door and said, "Why don't you come with me?" I froze. "With you?" "Yeah," he said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Next thing I knew, I was tossing a few things into a bag and sliding into the passenger seat. And get this, there was actually a business meeting. No lies, isn't it weird to feel shocked when your husband tells the truth? But for the first time in forever, I saw the Ken I fell for: steady, reliable. I spent my days wandering the shops, and at night we'd hit up restaurants, sip cocktails, and order late-night room service like we were newlyweds. When he looked at me, I swear it felt real, like maybe we could start over. He even mentioned a trip to Italy next year, a second honeymoon, he called it. I don't know what to think, part of me still waiting for the other shoe to drop. All my best, Carrie, August 20, 1977, Carlsbad, California. Carrie, last night after we put the kids to bed, Janet and I settled in to watch TV. Out of nowhere, she turned it off and said, "I've been seeing someone else." Then she spilled everything, how they met years ago, then reconnected last August after we had a fight. Remember that night I buried myself in grading papers instead of spending time with her. She stormed out to meet her friend Sharon. Except she didn't come home till morning, and I didn't even notice. Looking back, it's wild how checked out I was, not that I'm taking the blame, but still, the only way I can reclaim what we had is by staying with you. When her husband showed up, Janet made it clear it was done. Their argument in the parking lot was loud enough for half the neighborhood to hear, but she didn't waver. She drove off that night and never glanced back. Now about Ken's letters, this is where things get messy. "Are you sure you want to see them?" Janet begged me not to send them, but I told her I owed you this much. She understood, so here they are. But listen, if you're happy right now, Carrie, don't read them. I know that's asking a lot, but I've seen your strength. You've carried it for months. Guard your happiness like it's gold. If Ken is what you want, toss these pages and walk away. If he's not, maybe you don't even need to read them to know. Yeah, bold advice from me, of all people. But I know you, Carrie Ann Alsop. Better than you think. You've always sold yourself short. You changed me forever. And if I had to go through hell, I'm glad it was with you. You'll always be part of me. Take care of yourself. You deserve nothing less. All my love, David, July 6, 1977, Los Angeles, California. My sweet Janet, you don't mean any of this. We can't be over. We're meant to be. You're just scared because it's real, but it is real. Leave him. I'll walk away from Carrie without a second thought. She's never been what you are to me. 10 years with her doesn't compare to a few months with you. Just write back. Answer my calls. Let's start our life. Love, your Ken, July 13, 1977, Encino, California. Janet, please reconsider. I know you told me to go back to my wife, but every time I look at her all I feel is emptiness. You're the only one. I can get away. August 8, I've got a meeting in Palm Springs. Meet me there. Give us one last chance. Love, your Ken, August 10, 1977, Palm Springs, California. Janet, I brought Carrie here after you shut me out. Thought maybe we'd have some grand romantic weekend and I'd send you some smug note about how much happier I was without you. But the truth, I can't fake it. She's not you. You wrecked me. I wanted a family with you. A life Carrie could never give me. Yeah, I said things I shouldn't have when you left. I was angry. And sure, there were others before you. If we're really done, why should I pretend to be something I'm not? Monogamy never made sense to me anyway. Love, your Ken. Jeanette, you've got to see this. What I did proves how deep my love for you runs. I was ready to throw everything away just for you, no one else. That's how special you are to me. Letting you go, it's tearing me apart, but I get it. You've made your choice and I'll respect that. If you ever reconsider, though, don't hesitate to reach out. My heart's still yours, always. Love, Ken, September 16, 1977, Encino, California. Mr. Rosenthal, following our conversation last week, I've included every letter exchanged between my husband, Dr. Kenneth Alsop, and Janet Mayer over the past year. This should be more than enough proof of their affair. Let's stick to your plan. Hit him where it hurts. Financially, emotionally, whatever it takes. Best, Carrie Alsop, April 30, 1978, Boston, Massachusetts. David, I owe you an apology for not responding sooner. It took me a while to process everything. Right now I'm writing from my parents' garage apartment, not exactly where I pictured myself at 31, but here we are. After reading your letter and Ken's pathetic attempts at romance, I played along for 2 weeks. Why, maybe I needed time to gather my strength. Deep down, I knew the truth the second I saw those letters. But I finally snapped during dinner at some overpriced Italian place. He was mid-sentence, ordering soup like nothing was wrong, when I tossed my napkin down, grabbed his car keys and walked out. Let him figure out how to get home. Turns out disrespect had been the foundation of our marriage all along, even when I thought he was loyal. And then life threw me a curveball. Last September, I found out I was pregnant. Shocking, absolutely thrilling, you bet. So I hired a lawyer, packed my bags, and moved back to Boston within a month. Now, I'm a single mom to a gorgeous little girl named Margaret. Divorced, living with my parents, and honestly, happier than I've been in years. I'm reclaiming my maiden name, studying for my real estate license, and blasting Joni Mitchell whenever the mood strikes. Not the life I planned, but damn, it's good. Cara Spring has arrived and the trees are bursting with new life. Maggie just flashed her first real smile, tiny but triumphant. Funny how a year that started with so much heartache turned into a string of quiet victories. Meeting you was the wake-up call I didn't know I needed. You showed me that my worth wasn't tied to motherhood or a failing marriage. Sure, my mom still rolls her eyes and says, "Sweetheart, you should have figured that out sooner." But some truths hit harder when they come from someone who isn't family. You handed me back my confidence long before you handed me my daughter. Boston suits us. The divorce settlement keeps us comfortable, and my parents, they've embraced grandparenthood like they were born for it. We don't need a thing except maybe for you to know where to find us if you ever want to. Maggie and I were inseparable. She's my joy, my freedom, the reason I finally feel like my life is mine. And David, she'll always be loved, fiercely, endlessly, just like you'll always be thanked. Love, Carrie and Maggie. Hennessy P.S. Ever wonder why Daisy Jones and the Six imploded at their peak? The truth drops spring 2019.